Hello. Hi, Angela. You're getting nothing from me. No fiver. That's irrelevant. Private joke. Now, we're going to do a question from the music composing paper, ordinary level. And this focuses on question 5, the harmony question. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through how it's done. And then hopefully you can finish it yourself. Here we go. Now, that's me coughing. Now, there's a little bit of preparatory work you need to do before you get into the question. This is something you need to know. You'll need to know this information. I spilled my tea. Look, it's annoying. It happens sometimes. Now, you'll need to know what the lines and spaces are of the treble clef, the high notes, and that symbol indicates the treble clef or high notes. And there they all are. E, and then it follows the alphabet. E, F, and then there's no E, F, G. There's no H. It goes back to A again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It just keeps continuing like that. The first 7 letters of the alphabet over and over again. You also need to know the bass version of that. That symbol there means the bass clef, so the lower notes. And when you're dealing with the lower notes, it starts with G as in ground. For this one, it's E as in end. G as in ground, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. It keeps continuing all the time. And this A, then B, then middle C, then D, and then you're on to this one. Okay? So that gives an example. You need to know them in advance before you go into your test. Also, over here, this is something else you're going to need to know in advance before you go into your test. The type of cadences. Don't shake the camera. Keep it as still as you can. Use 2 hands if you need to. The type of cadences that are involved. And cadences mean chord changes that are good for the end of a line of music. So these are the 4 acceptable, ministry-approved chord changes that you're allowed to use. Perfect, plagal, interrupted, and imperfect. Okay? So perfect is a transition from chord 5 to chord 1. Plagal is a transition from chord 4 to chord 1. Interrupted is a transition from chord 5 to chord 6. Imperfect is a transition from some chord, who gives a shit, to chord 5. So the first chord in imperfect cadence, it can be whatever you want, with a few restrictions that we'll get into now in a second. Now, if you're seeing all these Roman numerals and panicking, then don't worry. Here. This will be on your exam paper. See that? So it has chord 1 up to chord 7 in Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you forget what the Roman numerals mean, just look at that and count it, okay? You need to fill in this chord grid as the first step before you get to doing the main part of the question. Zoom right out. Show the whole question, both of them. 2 sheets in full view. So that's the whole question overall. Question 5, we're adding bass notes and chord indications at cadence points. The preparatory work is here, and the main sum is here. I call it a sum because it's kind of like maths. Okay, so that's your preparatory work. Now it says to write out the scale of G major or whatever your key is on the stave below. But you don't get any marks for that, so you could even leave it out and not be penalised. Then you plot the chords available either in this chord bank or else on this stave. Now, I always use the stave because it's easier. The chord bank, you need to know things like if it's sharp or flat or diminished or minor. So it's more effort. This is just putting in dots in a very simple, easy to understand sequence. Let's look closer at it there. You see chord 1? That's on 3 lines. And if you look at your yoke there, you'll notice that those dots are on the notes G, B, and D. See those 3 lines there? Then what happens is it keeps moving up one place all the time. So those 3 dots there on the 3 lines, the next batch of 3 dots, next chord, is on the 3 spaces above that. See that? And then this one is done for you. That's on the 3 lines above that again. Then chord 4 is on the 3 spaces above that. Now, at that point, you stop. Because if you did in another one here on the lines, you'd have to put in your own imaginary line up here. And they don't really like that. So what I do at this point, when you get to the space above the top line, is I'd go to the last chord, chord 7. And from chord 7, go backwards. So chord 7 is on 3 spaces. Chord 6 is on the 3 lines below that. Chord 5 is on the 3 spaces below that again. And there's your kind of disconnect there. Those 3 notes are the same notes as if you had done it up here, except they're the lower version of those notes. So it makes sense musically. It's as if you continued it, except you're continuing it down lower. You'll notice that they've given you these 2 chords and put them in square brackets. Now I've gone a step further and put an evil demon face above and below them. That's to just copper fasten the point in case you're any doubt that those chords are evil. You should never use them or else someone dies. I believe that's what happened to Janis Joplin and Kurt Cobain actually, is they wrote a song using chord 3 or chord 7. So, you know, Got to be careful with that. Never use chord 3 or chord 7. Right, okay, moving on. With those instructions in mind, you now go over to part A of the question here. See this here? This is the first bit you have to solve. Now what they want you to do is put in appropriate chords in these boxes, and these two should be a cadence. Remember cadences from earlier over here? Them. Should be one of those chord changes, the acceptable ones. So part A, you put in 3 chords there that suit the music, and that's your clue of what chord to use. Whatever note's directly below the box. Directly below the box, not that one. Forget that one. That's just a moron. That one there and that one there. They're the notes that matter. And you put in chords that suit those notes, okay? And the same for part B, part C, and part D. However, at each place, it's not just the chords they want. They also want you to complete a suitable bass line under here that fits in with the chords you've picked. Okay, so that's it. That's the job that you've got to do. Now, here's how you do it. You look at the note you've got there, and you identify what that note is on your chord thing, whatever it's called, the thing over here. Look at it. So that note was, let's look at this again actually. Sorry, I'm being up. That note there is FAC. It's a C. Okay? So what you've got to do is go over to your chord bank over here and check what notes, what chords here contain the note C. So C is the third space up. So just get your pen and glance along the third space. None of them are C because they're on the lines both above and below it. This is a C, however. So chord 2 is acceptable for that note. This is also a C, so chord that one. Chord 4 is acceptable for that note. And then, wait, am I being up? What am I forgetting about? Help me out, child. What am I missing here? What else I see in it? Third space. Oh, it's chord 7. Sorry, chord 7 also has a note, a C note in it. So it's chord 2, 4, and 7 are the 3 options available. However, are any of those chords evil, Kevin?
I think so.
Which one? The demon face is a clue, by the way. Yeah, it's chord 7. So you don't use chord 7. So your choices there are 2, 4, or 7. But because 7 is evil, we're not going to include it as an option. So I go up here, and below my box, I write 2 and 4 as being the 2 options that could go in that box there. We're not going to commit to anything yet. Okay. Now we look at this one. This note here is an A. So we go over and see on our chord grid how many of our chords contain the note A. Careful, keep it steady. So A is the second space up. 2, 5, and 7. Once again, 7 is evil, so we're not going to consider it. 2 and 5 are our options. They're the 2 chords that will fit in with that note there. So let's go back over here and put in those options, 2 and 5. Okay, so there's 2 and 5 in there. Keep it in the center of the picture. I'm trying to check. Now, our last one, we look at this note here and I see it's B. Okay, so we go back over to our chord grid and check again which chords contain the note B. And your choice is this time, middle line. It's 1, 3, and 6. 1, 3, and 6. Are any of them evil?
Yeah.
Yes. 3 is a magic number, but it's also evil. So it's black magic. So it's 1 and 6 are our only choices there. Forget 3. So 1 and 6 can go in here. Now, 1 and 6. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same for line B of music as well. The same treatment for line B of the music. We're going to do these first 2 and leave these 2 for you to do. So in line B, this part of the music here, your first note down there is an E. It's the very bottom line, which is an E. If you weren't sure, you check this yoke here and you'd see bottom line has to be E. Okay, so you need to know this information or you're screwed. So what you do is you check the bottom line and see, are there any chords that have a dot along the bottom line? Only one, chord 6. Now this leaves us with a bit of a problem because every single time you do this, there will be 3 chords that fit in with each note. Okay, every time, that's guaranteed. So if you're only finding 1, you're missing something. Now go back over to this. You'll You'll remember that the note we saw was E. However, if you are slightly above average intelligence, you'll notice that there are two E's here. There's a low one and a high one. So that's the thing, that's the trick, is you have to now go and look at the other E, which is the top space there. Go along the top space, and there's chord 2 and chord 4 also have dots on E, except it's the high E this time. So we have now 3 chords available to us. Chord 6, which contains low E, and also chord 2 and 4, which contain a high E. That's fine. So 2, 4, and 6 are our options for that box there. 2, 4, and 6. None of those are evil, so they're all acceptable. 2, 4, and 6. There are options for that box there. Great. Now this note here is an A. So you go back over here, and it's the second space up. You check the second space, and oh no, sorry, I'm a dope now. Do you see the way that note is A? If you look back to the original one we did up here, you'll notice that that one is also A. So keep that in mind. If you've already done one, there's no point doing it again. If you haven't done already, just copy straight down the ones we've already worked out that fit with A, and they are 2 and 5. So 2 and 5, once again, will fit with A, just like it did last time. Okay, that's that done. Now this chord here this note here is G. We haven't actually had G before, so this is another new one, so we have to work this one out. G, so let's go over here and see, is the space, the second line up. So there's chord 1, chord 6. Now, unfortunately, we're only seeing 2 that fit with G. So once again, like last time with E, we're missing something. We have to find the high G. Now this one's a little bit even more complicated than last time, because if you look on this, you'll notice that there's a G, but there isn't any high G. There's only the one G in these sets of lines and spaces. So you have to be even cleverer this time, and there's this little thing called the alphabet. That if you understand that, you might be able to work it out. Right, let's sing together. You ready? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's no H, so we go back to A, B, C, D, E, F. Where do you think G might be? Yeah, exactly. It's not written in, but that top space there is G. And if I were to draw in another line here, that would be A again. Next space would be B, another line would be C, and so on. It keeps going up forever, okay? You can keep putting imaginary lines and going up forever like that. But that top space there is G. So we check the top space, the one above the top line, and see, is there any dot up here? And there is, chord 4, lovely. So now we know our 3 options. Chord 4 that has the high G, and also chord 1 and chord 6 which contain the low version of G. So that's lovely. 1, 4, and 6 are our options. Let's go back over here and put in our options 1, 4, 6. 1, 4, and 6. Okay, beautiful. Now we have our chords picked for all this section here, A and B. So our next job is to find a cadence that will fit in. Now our chords here are, there's 2 and 5, there's 1 and 6. So the cadences we could put in are going from chord 5 to 1, that's one allowable cadence, or else from chord 5 to 6, they're both acceptable. Chord 2 to 1 isn't acceptable, chord 2 to 6 isn't acceptable because they're not recognized cadences. So we have a choice of either, come over here, the perfect cadence from chord 5 to 1, or the interrupted cadence of chord 5 to 6. Now here's a little guideline about this stuff. Zoom right out so you can see both pages. Okay, so here's a little guideline about this stuff. I'll do some explaining with my hands. So here's some guidelines about this stuff. Thank you. No, I won't do that, that's stupid. You see the way there are 4 things there? There are 4 lines of music, and you're doing the ending of each of 4 lines of music. The guideline is that line 2 and line 4, if possible, should end in strong cadences. And line 1 and line 3, where possible, should end in weak cadences. The strong cadences, zoom in the cadences, are the perfect and plagal. So any cadence that ends in chord 1 is a strong cadence. So both of them are strong cadences. Both of these that end in other chords are weak cadences. So our preference, because it's line 1 of music, our preference here is to use the weaker cadence of the 2. So that is chord 5 to 6. Chord 5 to 6. There's your interrupted cadence in there. Now, with this chord here, this one, there's no particular guideline except you shouldn't copy what's in this box here. They shouldn't be two consecutive chords. It's not a chord change that way. So our choices are either chord 2 or chord 4. Which do you like better, Kevin?
I don't know.
Pick one.
Chord 2.
Okay, chord 2 is going in this box because Kevin, well, he doesn't really care about it. He said he liked it better. Okay, so this is 2, 5, 6. But you could have used 4 if you want. That would have been fine. Now, same treatment for this one down here. We have to find a cadence that goes with it. Now, because this is line 2 of the music, we're hoping to get a strong cadence. So there's chord 1. So that's good news. Chord 1 is there. It means we can probably use a strong cadence. Now, what are our chord options here? Is that chord 2 and chord 5 I see before me? It is. So we could do a 5 to 1, couldn't we? Mm-hmm. Which is a perfect cadence. Now, if we wanted, because chord 6 is an option, we could also have done chord 5 to chord 6 here, but that wouldn't really be the best to use considering it's a strong cadence point. So we'll use chord 5 to chord 1 here. Perfect cadence. 5 to 1. Beautiful. Now, what chord do we like best here? 2, 4, or 6? I'll go for 4. It doesn't matter. Although, actually, you know what? They do quite like the transition 2-5-1. That's quite nice in classical music writing. So 2-5-1 might be nice there, but it doesn't actually matter. 4-5-1 is fine. Okay, now that that's done, we have our next part of the job, which is we need to put in bass notes that suit. Is your hand getting tired holding that?
No.
You're okay, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Give you a quick break if you need it. Okay, so we have to put in bass notes that suit the music. Now, the key about putting the bass notes in is you're not looking at these notes anymore to get your bass notes. Instead, you're looking at the chords that you've picked. So 2, 5, and 6. That's what gives you your bass notes down here. And same story with this one. We've got 4, 5, and 1. We want to have bass notes that suit those chords. 4, 5, and 1. Okay? And once you get that bit, it's simple enough. So what we do is we look at the chord we've picked. We go over here to our chord grid. Chord 2. So what's the bottom note of chord 2? It's the second space up. The second space up is A. And here's the tricky bit. Because it's the bass notes, we're not allowed to use these lines and spaces anymore. We have to use the base set of lines and spaces. So we're going to put an A in, but the A has to be on the base one, so it's either there or there. Which do you rather, high or low, child?
High.
Okay, we're going to put in a high one just because Kevin likes it better. And we'll put it in here. And if you're doing ordinal level, I like to keep things simple. So what we'll do is we'll put in the A here, okay? The exact same kind of note as what's... Maybe I should do it in a different colour. Black? Is black okay?
I don't know.
But there might be dopes watching it who get confused and think it's printed. What do you think? We'll do it in black. Do it in black. Okay, so same type of note as what you have above. And then, because there's a passing note here, I'd have that passing note in as well and keep it the exact same note as what you had. Right, so there we go. So that's that one done. We've put in the exact same type of notes directly beneath what's here for that chord. So everything east of that belongs to this box. So these two belong to that box. So that's that one done. Now this one, we put a note directly below this, and it should be the same type of note of what we have above. And it's chord 5 we're looking at. So we go over here. Try not to keep it shaky. Keep it as still as you can. We go over here to chord 5. And we look at the bottom note of chord 5. Straighten. Yes. Okay. Bottom note of chord 5 is that one down there. Now again, you have to use your intelligence here. It's a tricky one. It's below the bottom line. Now we don't have written in what's below the bottom line. You have to use your alphabet. This time you have to go backwards in your alphabet. So what comes before E in your alphabet, Kevin?
G.
Sure.
Yes.
Good. A, B, C, D. Sorry. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So yeah, that's D there. So.
Also, it's at the top.
We know that, yeah, it's there as well if you weren't sure. We know that the note for chord 5 is D. We have to put it in on the bass lines and spaces. So where's D on the bass lines and spaces? There it is, middle line. So we have to put our note on the middle line. So our bass note goes on the middle line, there. Now what's weird about music is when it's on the middle line, you have a choice of either putting the stalk up or the stalk down. I'm going to put the stalk up. I could have put down if I wanted to. The rule is if the dot goes below the middle line, your stalk has to go up. If your dot is above the middle line, your stalk has to go down. But when it's on the middle line, you've got a choice, either or. Now let's go to our last chord. Chord 6 is what we're looking at. So we go over to our chord bank and look at chord 6. There it is, chord 6. The bottom note of chord 6, the root of this is what always determines your bass note. Although if you're doing higher level, there are a few exceptions to that, but we're not going to even bother with that today. See that there? That's an E. So you go over to this, there's E there. But what is it on the bass lines and spaces? There it is, the second space from the top. So that's where our note goes, here. Second space from the top, and it should be the same type of note as what went above. There we go. Okay, so that's the bass part done for that piece of music. Now, we're going to do the same for this one. So once again, we're looking at the chords involved, and then picking the root of the chord, the bottom note of each chord, and putting it down here. Okay, so let's go over here. Chord 4 we're looking at. Chord 4, its bottom note is the second space from the top. Go to your thingy. Second space from the top is C. Then you have to transfer it onto the other lines and spaces. That T spill is annoying me. And it's there. Oh, Lena's back. She's loud. So C is the second space up, so that's where we put our note. Second space up. Yeah, hold on. Second space up, and that's where it goes. Now, this one, chord 5, we've already done that up here, remember? So it turns out to be that note, the middle line, so that's where our bass note goes. Middle line right here. Put stalk down this time for the buzz, will we?
Yeah.
Yeah, down. Okay, next one we have chord 1. So let's look at chord 1. It's G, which is the key note of the piece. G is here. And on the other sets of line spaces, it's either the top or the bottom. Do you want to go high or low, Kev?
I'll go low this time.
I would have gone high myself. Have a look at it. Show it to the consumers, to the people that are watching. You could put it up here or down there. I think up here would be a better movement because it's going and then this is going It's complemented. That's moving down, this is moving up. It's kind of complementary motion. So I'm going to actually put it up here because I think it's kind of better. And there we go. There's our G. And it has to be the same type of note as that, so it needs the dot. Okay? Dotted minimum, meaning 3 beats. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do now, you can go now, Kev, thank you, is I'm going to show you. So that's part A done. That's part B done. Now, what you've got to do, and you can leave a comment below actually if you want to show your solution of this, is do part C. And there, I'm going to keep it on that for like a few seconds. You can pause the video if you like, just to see exactly what it is while you work it out. So part C, there are your 3 notes. Try and get chords that suit it and bass notes that suit it. Okay? Then we have part D. There's part D, the end of the music. See can you get bass notes and, well, chords first, then bass notes that suit that piece of music. Now, to finish the video, I'm going to go back over to our chord grid one more time and our cadences, so you can look at that while you try and solve part C and D. Okay? Fun times. There's your chord grid and there's your cadences available to you. And there's the lines and spaces of the left and right hand. Alright. I hope you enjoyed that long and boring video. See you next time. Signing out. See ya.